Hi guys, Gaz Cooper here. On this video, what we're going to talk about is Belize's Great Blue Hole. And one of the hot topics is on the message boards is it really worth diving? You know, many divers say, well, don't bother, it's not worth it. And then other divers say it's great. So this video's kind of there to give you some accurate information on that, so you can actually make up your own mind whether you want to dive it or not. Yeah, and I'll start off this video by starting off with a few facts about the Blue Hole, just so you've got a little bit of background on the history of the Blue Hole and what it's all about. Start off with the location of the Blue Hole. The Blue Hole is located from Ambergris Caye. If you can see my mouse button here, I'm putting it over Ambergris Caye right here. And I'm focusing on Ambergris Caye because Ambergris Caye is the major tourist hub in Belize. You know, so basically from here, if you look out, I put a dive flag right over where the Blue Hole is, and that's approximately 46 miles from Ambergris Caye to the actual Blue Hole. And you'll see you have to cross some open water here between San Pedro and Turnef, and then cut across some more open water between Turnef Islands and the Lighthouse Reef and the Blue Hole, which is located at Lighthouse Reef. Now, the Blue Hole dimensions, the Blue Hole is a perfect circle, and it's 1,000 foot across, and it's by 460 feet deep. Now you'll see some people say 480, 400, but you get the drift. It's around 460 feet deep. It's quite a unique thing. It's the only blue hole in the world that can actually be seen with the naked eye from outer space. And while this picture is not from outer space, it does give you an idea of the surrounding area. You can see the blue water over here, which is the deep blue water, and then inside the atoll, which is here, and there's the Blue Hole right in the middle of it. It was made famous by Jacques Cousteau and the Calypso crew in 1970 when he went into the Blue Hole and charted it. Now, of course, the Blue Hole has been there for thousands and thousands of years, and Jacques Cousteau didn't discover the Blue Hole. What he did was bring it into the forefront of the public and publicize it to the world. Belizean fishermen have been fishing there for centuries, you know. So, but what Jacques Cousteau did do was actually get in there, explore it, take his submarine in there, and explore the stalactites and stalagmites. A couple of fallacies about that is that there's a rumor that he blew a hole in the reef with dynamite to get the Calypso in there, and that's all false. You know, there's no evidence to suggest that Mr. Cousteau did that by any means. Now, what's quite unique here, guys, is there's actually only two spots to dive the Blue Hole. There's the north spot, which is located right over here, and then there's a south spot. Literally, there's only probably maybe 200 feet either side that you could swim. The rest of the area, right around this area right here, is nothing. It's just a sheer wall going straight down to the bottom. Yeah, on the north side and the south side, that's where you've got stalactites and stalagmites. Now, on the north side, you've only got stalactites. Tights come down. And on the south side, you've got stalactites and stalagmites, because it has a little ledge on there, which I'll show you in a second. So basically, when you go dive in the Blue Hole, it will what will determine which site you dive will be the weather. Yeah, where the wind's blowing from. Generally, it's the northern side that you dive, but if the wind's switched, you can often go on the south as well. Now, going down into the Blue Hole, yeah, you've got the north and south side, as I mentioned, yeah, and on the right-hand picture here, you've got a little illustration, and on the right-hand side is the northern side, and you can see a ledge, but that's way, way, way deep right there. Yeah, on the south side over here, you've got all the stalactites coming down, and then you've got a ledge, which you can actually see a real picture of it on the left-hand side here, and you can see that ledge right here. Yeah, and these divers here, this diver's around 155 feet right there. This diver here, he's around 130, which is, you know, obviously the recommended depth, but people tend to drop a little bit deeper than they should in the Blue Hole. So that's one thing that you really need to do, is keep an eye on your depth gauge, because it is quite confusing, and before you know it, you can be, you know, at 150 feet. So it's important that you keep an eye on your gauges when diving the Blue Hole. Now, in the Blue Hole, what is it that you're going to be seeing in there? Why are you going diving? Well, you're actually going to see several things in the Blue Hole. You're going to see stalactites and stalagmites. Now, might not be so exciting, but a stalactite, as you can see on the right-hand picture there, some of those stalactites over 100 feet in length. And when you consider that it takes 100 years for a stalactite to grow just 1 inch, it's a pretty amazing sight right there, guys. And the blue hole, when you go down there, it's quite an eerie feeling and kind of a strange feeling, you know, and it's certainly something totally different to any other dive that you'll do in Belize. Now, on the left-hand picture, you'll see right there, and that's our south side picture, because you can see the actual ledge just behind the shark right there. Yeah, you get bull sharks in the blue hole. I've seen bull sharks in the blue hole. I've seen hammerheads in the blue hole. Yeah, and generally there's quite a few bull sharks that are in the blue hole, and it depends on when you're going to see those. You know, generally on the south side is where I've seen most of the sharks that I've dove. But in these days, you know, the sharks tend to be pulled up to the surface by some guides that throw chum in the water while you're diving. So actually, when you come up for your safety stop, you know, the sharks will already be up there so you can see them. That is actually illegal in Belize, and they're trying to stop anybody, you know, baiting the sharks. But it does get done from time to time. The profile of the blue hole, let's have a look at what that is. Yeah, generally the profile of the blue hole is 130 foot depth. Now, obviously, as a certified diver, you have to determine your own limitations and what you're comfortable with. Yeah, 130 feet is the maximum depth allowed by recreational diving, so you'll have to determine whether you feel comfortable and your buddy feels comfortable going to that depth. Yeah, the bottom time is 8 minutes bottom time, guys, and there's a 2-minute ascent and a 10-minute safety stop, yeah, around the rim of the hole. And I put that picture in right there to show you that it's not just a boring old safety stop of 10 minutes. Yeah, if you've got the sharks there, that will certainly increase the excitement level. Yeah, but also around the perimeter of the blue hole is beautiful, stunning corals and everything. Yeah, so really you're going to see a lot of stuff even on your safety stop right there. And as far as snorkelers, now a lot of us have got partners that don't dive. Yeah, and is it worth a partner going along to do the snorkeling part of the trip? Well, around the blue hole, yes, it's fantastic diving, but you have to remember that predominantly the trip is going to be focused on divers. So snorkelers tend to get left a little bit behind as far as considerations concerned, you know. They go to the dive sites, the divers get in the water, and then the snorkelers can snorkel around until the divers are finished and then get back on the boat. Now, around the perimeter of the blue hole, it's beautiful shallow water, only about 10-15 feet deep before it slopes down into the hole, and it's beautiful, stunning snorkeling. The other dives that you'll do on this trip, yeah, the top of the reef is going to be around 20 feet to 25 feet, maybe 30. Yeah, so the snorkeling's still nice, but of course you have to dive down a little bit for that. So snorkeling, yeah, it's nice snorkeling out there. So let's get on to the question of, is the blue hole really worth diving? Yeah, we see on message boards all the time, you know, a newbie will come along and say, I'm heading to Belize and should I dive the blue hole? And then all of a sudden you get the experienced divers jumping on there and saying, oh, don't bother, it's all blown up, it's not worth it, it's only just a big hole and everything's not so good. Well, I understand where both of those people are coming from. An experienced diver that maybe's dove all over the world, you know, Galapagos, you know, Palau, all those other places, he's going to be desensitized to anything like the blue hole, as an example. You know, it may not be such an experience for him because he's dove all over the world and had lots of great experiences. However, for the Joe average diver that may have 30, 40, 50 dives under his belt, that hasn't had the chance to dive all over the world, the blue hole is a fantastic dive, and it's totally different to what you'll dive anywhere else in Belize. You're going down to see the formation of the stalactites and stalagmites. You've got a possibility of seeing sharks there. But you know something? That's not what it's all about, you know. You've also got other dives on that trip. The blue hole is just one dive on a 3-dive trip. You're going out to Lighthouse Reef, and I'll tell you one thing, if you ask those divers, should I dive Lighthouse Reef, Belize? Yeah, all of them will say, absolutely, you should dive Lighthouse. Yeah, while the blue hole is something that some divers may not want to dive, or may dive and say, I'm happy I dove it, but really, you know, I'd much prefer the other diving. And I can understand that too. Yeah, Lighthouse Reef has got some stunning wall diving. Yeah, you also get to visit Half Moon Cay, which is a natural heritage site. Yeah, so it's not just about the blue hole on that day, guys. The blue hole is one dive out of 3 dives. My personal opinion is dive the blue hole. Yeah, if you're an experienced diver that's dove all over the world, and you know, the blue hole probably won't impress you. Yeah, but if you're Joe Average diver, you know, that enjoys diving the reefs and everything else, this is going to be an unusual, unique, and a famous dive for Belize. You know, and I was a dive operator in Belize for nigh on 20 years, guys, and I've sent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of divers. I've talked them out of it. They've come into my resort and said, oh, we heard on message boards, don't bother with it, don't bother with it. And I've talked them into it and said, guys, go on the trip and let me know when you come back. If you don't like it, I'll refund your money. You know, I never refunded anybody, not once. Yeah, because they came back and they were so thankful that I said to them to go on it. Yeah, not only for the blue hole. Some said, oh, the blue hole was great, but I wouldn't dive it again. Some said it was fantastic, but what everyone said was fantastic was the stunning wall diving, yeah, that was in addition to the blue hole. So, go dive in the blue hole. So, guys, I hope this video you found it interesting. If you want some more information on diving Belize, I'm putting other videos together for certain areas of Belize, because Belize is such a diverse diving area that there's so many different ways of diving Belize. I'm going to put some other informational videos out there for you as well. So if you want any more info on Belize dives, guys, visit my Belize dive website, which is divebelize.com. And if you fancy diving the Galapagos Islands or the Maldives, yeah, feel free to visit my dive travel website, which is gazcoopersdivetravel.com. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Look forward to showing you the next one. Gaz Cooper checking out.